Medica Wellness Studio. I'm Angelica Maria Koch with your educational videos about how to live optimal health and vibrant well-being as I continue to guide you step by step through an amazing and life transformative process, empowering you to connect with your body and soul in a completely new way again. Let's continue our discovery series and how to apply over-the-counter first aid homeopathic remedies for your children and teenagers. In my last video, where we talked about back to school and how to adapt, I already introduced you to simple remedies and how to ease the transition. Well, today we're going to go a step deeper and we look at teenagers and behavioral problems like depression, oversensitivity, mood changes, shyness, even down to stealing. Yes, it can happen during this time. In order to understand these remedies, we start to relate to them like a person or a human with a unique frequency. You know, a rock and a plant and an animal out in nature, they portray a certain frequency, a unique personality with dislikes and likes. Homeopathic remedies are made from natural substances, so they do also display the unique frequency. Behavioral problems. These are common during adolescence, the growing years, and they're often expressed in the typical rebellion and the anger and the frustration and wanting to consciously cut the umbilical cord of the caretaker or the family. Of course, there's often a lack of confidence involved as well, but it's a very confusing time. For some, they even withdraw completely and they end up in their room with their headphones, listening to music and becoming completely unapproachable. You can't even talk to them anymore. Or because they feel misunderstood and no one understands them and they're separated from society, as well as wanting themselves to separate, they go for the alcohol and the recreational drugs and just escaping the whole society. Homeopathy can be very useful here, and your teenager can come back into a meaningful and a joyful life. So one of the remedies we talked about last time was called Lycopodium clavatum or Lycopodium, also wolf's club or club moss. And the core essence is very much about lack of confidence, but covering it up. And here the teenager is very eager and, emotionally off balance. They have a pseudo maturity. They feel like, I know it all, and are very critical about everything. They also like to surround themselves with adults or older teenagers, which of course feeds this pseudo maturity even more so. They don't express themselves and they have a deep fear of failure, which is expressed in performance anxiety, before an exam, or they have to be on stage. But as I said, they like to cover it up. When it comes to bullying, these teenagers can actually be the one who provoke the bullying act because they have this provocative behavior. I know it all, and who are you? Of course, they feel terrible about it, and they have deep fear of failure and about the future and what's going to happen. They are so oversensitive and they lack the confidence that they cover this all up with being critical. They will question society, they will question the teacher. They love to get into an argument with somebody just to prove to themselves that they're more powerful. Not an easy teenager to have around. They also suffer from, digestive problems in the sense of excessive flatulence, or little bits they eat, they feel full easily. It really comes out on the physical level as well. Another remedy is called Nux vomica. I always like to have that at hand during teenagers. with teenagers. It comes from the Nux vomica tree. It is from the family Lochinacea, the same as Ignatia, and the seeds are a little bit bitter. It's common in the area of India, Burma, China, Thailand, and Australia. It's also called poison nut or Quaker buttons. And the core essence of that remedy is very much about overindulgence and excess and spasm and irritability. So as a personality, they're go-getters. They later on become the type A personality, high achievers. They're in the ski team and they want to achieve. They're very sharp, they're efficient, but they're very impatient. I mean, anything can flare them up. So they're rebellious, they are not eager to please. They have high expectations. They want others to be like they are, and they don't like if the other ones are not as efficient or on time, for example. They work and they play hard. So they wake up at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, maybe have insomnia even. They like alcohol, they like burning the candles, they probably will take drugs. But yet it's all part of just living the high life. As I said, they're highly strung, they're energetic, they're competitives, and they like perfection. They insist on perfection. They like challenges, they like decision making. They're, very verbally and mentally agile. They express themselves very well, but they're terribly impatient. So you can see this later on in the managerial or entrepreneurial positions, more high position CEOs, who achieve well. Now, Nux vomica as a child can be very nervy and irritable, hypersensitive. And what they don't like is being contradicted. They just throw a fit, even as a small child already. They can have later on stomach pains a lot. It can go into the digestive area. Very defined characters, a strong sense of justice. And they're a bit idealistic too, with big ideas. So as again, they become very easily flared up. It's like a living volcano. And the main thing is their terrible impatience. Now, when it comes to stealing, why do I bring up this subject? Because I've seen it many times. Teenagers steal because they want to fill an inner void within themselves. To take something from somebody or an environment is maybe a momentary, just a brief flicker of the sensation of filling my deep void inside, making me worthy, making me feel I deserve that too. In Nux vomica personalities, that might not be an unconscious act. It may be a very deliberate act to say, I denigrate you. I don't like you as a family anymore, and therefore I take something from you. It's an act of anger, of defiance. But most of the time, teenagers steal because there's something lacking within themselves. Another remedy which comes to mind, completely different frequencies, called Pulsatilla or nigrans, Pulsatilla nigrans. We learned about this remedy last time, and here the idea is about shy, vulnerable, and the disposition is very much about I want to have attention. So they have rage, they have dissatisfaction of life, they have huge needs, and in order to get there, they're very manipulative. They do anything in order to fulfill their need of being seen and being loved. So the females may be prone to weepiness and, hysterical outfits, and it's just from despair to laughter. In the morning they can be happy-go-lucky, in the afternoon then the tear duct is pressed and they're crying all over the place again. Regarding bullying, this teenager hides under the cloak of shame, inferiority, refuses to join with others, is easily provoked to tearful outbursts. He expresses the anger or the rage and the frustration through others. So they say, I feel like this because this and this person said that to me, or it's become very bitchy. But once they are, for example, in an environment where there is no adult around, they switch and they become the very one who then manipulates and tells others what to do. The whole theme is all about attention seeking and their intolerance of often to be indoor. They want to be outdoor. They want to be in fresh air. It makes them feel much, much better. So the mood changes can range, really from laughter to hysterical crying. And there's an uncertainty and anxiety about the whole life. They can be fearful of the opposite sex, and and yet they want this love. There's a paradox between shyness and not wanting to be in the limelight, yet wanting to have their attention. It's very confusing. And teenager girls often they have period problems. They maybe start late with the period, or the irregular period, or premenstrual tension, which adds to it on top of it to this mood changes. They blush easily is another one. A great remedy which I also would like to mention here is called Silica or Silica, which is the quartz crystal or flint. It is present throughout nature. It's the constituents of most rocks, of plants, particularly in the stem, and it helps the plant to be upright, to just hold themselves upright, which is also what we want to have within a teenager. It is also the very material which is in your hair, in your nails, in your teeth, and it's in your connective tissue and holds the structure of your body together. So it's a very important element. Now the personality of a Silica teenager is lack of grit on all levels. They lack that stamina to be upright. Now these children are often undernourished, or the theme is that they are a little bit stunted in growth. They are delicate in their body physique, and often smaller build. They have less in height. They're delicate with their skin, with their hair. They're very refined, well-mannered. They're intelligent, but they lack stamina. So they're very prone to ear infection, colds and coughs. They don't have a robust constitution. They are also easily prone to feel cold. They have cold hands and feet. They're very touchy. They can be resentful, and they just don't like to be interfered. But this type is also very tidy in nature. They're inclined to have a fixation for tiny objects. They're very down to detail, even in their work. So they maybe surround themselves with tiny jewelry or precious jewelry, small things. Although they have a lack of confidence, they can be very tenacious and stubborn too. So when they are homing into a task and really commit themselves, they're very capable of fulfilling it and finishing it. In fact, they become perfectionists and down to the detail. They want to have it right. But they have also the aspiration of fear of failure, right? A tendency to remain always the external student. It's very different here. It's not like a podium or an vomica who has fear of failure, but tries to compensate it by I know it all, and the pseudo mature person, but they keep it inside. And since they're not very assertive, they may feel pushed around and in turn relieve their own frustration on subordinates. When it gets to bullying, because they're small-built teenagers, they get picked upon, they get made fun of. And as they don't have the stamina or the grit to meet this goal, they back off and, they're often teased and provoked, which of course doesn't help their lack of confidence in the first place. So the staying power is not very, very good here. What does homeopathy do? Well, I tell you, homeopathy can actually strengthen the lack of the grit within that teenager. So she becomes more confident despite being smaller built or not so afraid of being picked upon. I've seen also when you have applied this remedy that the child actually grows a little bit in height. So it catches up, right? You give the essential mineral, basically what's missing within the structure of the body, but on all levels. Another remedy which I really can suggest during this time is Natrium muriaticum or Natrium mur. It's sodium chloride. And did you know that the word salary comes from the Latin word salarium, which refers to the payment of salt to soldiers in the past? So salt was actually like a currency, like money. And it is an essential trace element, and most people get it through their diet. Now in Orthodox medicine, salt is more used as saline solution, whereas in homeopathy we use it for many other things. The core essence of this personality is suppressed grief. It goes very deep, they're very hurt and withdraw, become the loners. So we use it for emotional problems, and particularly the feeling here is that she will be let down, disappointed, betrayed by the very person who she loves, is dependent on, and really believes in. So when this betrayal happens, she feels that there is a betrayal of the trust and the faith. And therefore, they become very emotional hurt and sort of shy away to enter into relationships. The first cut is really deep when we know this song, but it's like, they fall in love and it doesn't work out and they deeply, deeply get hurt and they withdraw from life. So she believes also that, or he believes that there's something wrong with them. They look different, they look wrong, they have done something wrong. They reproach themselves and they try to be very caring and nurturing and hope that the person still loves them, and it doesn't happen. It's a deep, deep cut. It's a deep wound. And so the teenager goes into one's room and just hides, and they don't cry anymore on the outside, they weep alone. Or, the only thing which really makes them better is music. It's why they withdraw into their room, because that's the only thing they really feel like they feel in their own world and they feel okay. They also like the seaside. It opens their heart because their heart is closed at that point. So it's a wonderful remedy for long-term depressive problems with a kind of rigid attitude. Of course they have poor physical health by now. All the symptoms are better by the sea. It is indicated for depressed, moody teenagers who are loner and never at ease or natural in any social situation. So when they go to a party, well, they're not throwing themselves like the lycopodium personality or vomica personality into the crowd and crack jokes. They are on the periphery. They, really do very well on a one-to-one conversation. But they don't like crowds so much. It's intimidating. They're great listeners, on the other hand. Later on they may be great counselors because they love listening and they have the ability to do so. but they're very shy and very hurt. You know, they're the kids sometimes who have their hair hanging right around their face, and you know, they can't look out of the one eye anymore. It's like covering yourself up, hiding. Now when it comes to stealing with Nature Muir, I would say they not do it consciously or deliberately like the Nux vomica personality. They really do that in order to fill a deep void inside themselves, so they feel more worthy or they deserve to be loved. A completely different remedy, but I'm going to throw it into this pot of teenagehood, is again a natural over-the-counter remedy. It's called biochemic tissue or cell salt. You find it in your health food store, and they have 12 different kinds. And the one I'm talking about is called Calcarea phosphorica or calcium calcphos. And it's a really nice, natural, supportive mineral tonic for growing pains or adjusting to growing phases. You know, when the teenager says, I can't sleep because, you know, my legs are hurting because they're growing, I have to say it works like a charm. And on the bottle you will find descriptions of take 4 tablets morning and evening, and that can be like for a week or for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, till your teenager has just eased off with the growing phase, and then you can introduce it or repeat it again when it's indicated. So I hope this short video, introductory video in homeopathy, has inspired you to look and to reach out for different kinds how to help your teenagers, and not just rush to the doctor, as I mentioned before, and hope that the antidepressant will just take them out of their abyss and the depression and the black holes. There are other ways, and much more effective ways. If you want to know, learn, and more about my teachings in homeopathy and quantum healing, I encourage you to get my book, The Dance of Your Core Healing, or one of my online courses. I've just reduced them in price, so have a look at my website medicanova.net, and you will see 3 courses. You go to Online Academy and you see Thriving with Homeopathy, which is a practical guide for the whole family and beyond. I think that would be very, very useful for you guys, as well as Thriving with Homeopathy for Birthing Life. It is a course for midwives, doulas, childbirth educators, nurses, and expecting mothers. It's all about how to apply homeopathy during pregnancy, birth, labor, postnatal care, and so on. And another course called Being and Living Quantum Healing, Transforming Your Mind, Body, and Soul in the New World. The courses are beautifully created, and I will guide you step by step through the whole material, and therefore offer you individual guidance, which you do not get with online courses. I want you to really embody natural healing. That's what I'm here for. So have a look at my website, medicanova.net. Subscribe to my channel. I'm really appreciative about it. And remember, your participation is so needed now in order to create a community, a world community of optimal health. You're not just a receiver, you are the one who makes it happening. Believe in yourself. Homeopathy is just one natural treatment to bring us into a place of wholeness again. Right now we're going through major consciousness shift, paradigm shifts, and your teenagers are equally affected here. So go out, have a look, and get in contact with me, and I'm more than happy to help you here. For today, take care and much love.